Today we're going to discuss more about arrays. So this time we're going to talk about using loops with arrays. So let's get started. Let me maximize this real quick and let me just close this from my previous video. So let me scroll down a bit and as you can see, I have this file created, ex39 underscore using loop with array. And many algorithms require accessing every element of an array to check for data, store information, and other tasks. This can be done in a process called traversing the array, which is often implemented with a for loop because the loop control variable naturally corresponds to an array indices. So to better understand this, I will give you an example. Let's just create a float type of array that has an identifier or a name of purchases, since it has a size of 3 elements. And let's initialize it to let's just put 1099 separator, and then the value 14. Make sure to put the dot 25, the separator, and the value 90, 50, and then the semicolon at the end. And then also we need to create a float of total, since we're going to store the total value of these purchases, and then another integer variable. So let's just put the I. So this time we're going to compute the total purchases. So I'm going to make a comment in here that this will be the total to this. So what this code do will going to total the purchases that we did. Purchases, if I can type this correctly. So 4, and then I is equal to 0, I is less than 3, and then I plus, make sure to put the curly braces, and then let's access the total. Let's calculate the total for the purchases. So to do that, all we need to do is call the array. So put the array name in here, purchases, and then the counter variable. So we initialize the counter here, we declared, and then we initialize it in here, then we test, and then increment. So whatever value we have for purchases starting from 10, 14, 19, 50, it will be added to the total variable. So this, we initialize it, it's 0 in this line, and then on this line we computed the total amount of purchases. So once we're done with that, once we're done with the computing, we can go ahead and output the result. So let's put a comment here so that our code will look easy to understand. So output, or this is the total. Let's just put a purchases total is, so whatever the total will be, going to be here, and I think the total will be 115, if I'm not mistaken, 74 cents. So to make sure that we're right, let's call in the printf function, and then let's put purchases. The first letter should be capital, purchases, and then the total purchases total is, since we're using the floating type, so make sure that it is the specifier should be floating as well, so 6.2 f or float. And then let's put the new one at the end, separator, and then the total. So let's run this. This is the file, so you right click and compile and run, and as you can see the total amount is 115 and 14 cents, which is correct, but I'm not correct. It is 14 in here. So that's the total amount of these purchases. So again, the loop control variable iterates from 0 to 1 less than the number of elements to match in this index values. From 0 to 1, so it's going to start from 0, then it's going to test, increment. If it is false, then it will exit the loop. It will display the result. It will display the total amount. So let's do another example in here. So I'm just going to delete this. Or we can just do another example in here. Let's just delete this for the meantime, and let's put some space. So int a, integer type, 10 elements, and then the counter variable, so for a is equal to 0, k is less than 10, a plus plus, and then the array k is equal to k times 10. This is also a valid program. You see, let's compile and run to see the results, and there's no result since we don't have the printf function. So again, the loop control variables iterates from 0 to 1 less than the number of elements to match index values. So loops are also useful for assignment. So in here we use the for loop to assign a variable, assign 10. So as you can see, we did not initialize it in here, but we use the for loop to put the values of the array, of our array. So we can call the function printf in here. So instead of using this one, we can also use a for loop. So we use a for loop to display the output. So let's use the same. Well, in fact, we can just copy this code up here and put this in here as like that, and then just edit this line. Instead of that, we can change it to displaying the results, so the value or array, or we can just put the value is %d, then new line, and then the array, and then the counter. So we use the for loop to put values in our array, and then we use for loop in here to display the values of each element. So let's try to run this, if it's going to work. Compile and run, and as you can see, it computed everything starting from 0 to 10, 20, since we multiplied it. So whatever value k has, it's starting from 0. So 10 times 0 is 0, and then we added 1 using the k plus plus using this increment operator. So this now has the 1 value. We test it again. This is still true, and then we go in here, we go to this expression, so 10 times 10, which is 20, and then so on and so forth. And then we display the result using the folder function. So that's it for this video, and before we wrap up, let's test your knowledge. I have here on this tab, I have a little exercise for you. So I want you to fill in the blanks to print the elements of the array using the for loop. As you can see, there's a lot of missing information in this code. So if you know the answer, please feel free to put it in the comment section below. Thank you.